Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
He's at some very important meetings. Good morning, Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Matthew Dickerson.
Good morning to the announcer, Ian Thurlow.
Yes, I'm not as busy as well, not really as busy as you. You're away at some meetings at the moment, is that correct?
One of the parts of the job that I really enjoy, Ian, is getting out in the community, talking to different community groups, finding out what's going on in the community and spending time in Dubbo and Wellington because we have got such a wonderful place to live there. But one of the important aspects of representing the community properly is spending some time in Sydney and sometimes in Canberra as well, making sure that you're having discussions with various politicians, making sure that people will know that you exist for a start, and also working with them to see how you can produce better outcomes for the community. So I am in Sydney at the moment. I've been in Sydney the last 2 days, again in Sydney again today. On Wednesday, I had some meetings with some various ministers. So, for example, we met with Paul Scully, the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces. Planning is obviously a really important issue, whole range of different issues there that were discussed and things that we need to make sure that they're aware of. And a new government coming in, new ministers, there's lots of things that we want to make sure that they're across and that they understand from a regional council perspective in particular. We also met with the Treasurer, Daniel Mookie. Incredibly important to meet with the Treasurer. Every other portfolio, every other minister, at some stage, they've probably got to refer to the Treasurer because the Treasurer holds the purse strings. So you need to make sure that you've got a good relationship with the Treasurer, and he also needs to understand things that are happening in regional areas. It's actually quite nice with Daniel. During his time in opposition, Daniel did visit Dubbo on a number of occasions, and I was fortunate enough to be invited along to many of those meetings with Daniel. So I've already got a good relationship with Daniel, and it was really just now he's the Treasurer. Let's continue that relationship and continue building that. We met with Rose Jackson as well. We've met with Rose Jackson a number of times. She's got a lot of portfolios. She's a Minister for water, for housing, for homelessness, for mental health, for youth and the North Coast. And again, we've met with Rose before, but some really important things there to talk about with Rose. Obviously, housing is incredibly important. We've also got water. We want to make sure that we've got water security going forward. Mental health is a major issue, homelessness. So some pretty big portfolios there. Again, important to go through that process. And we actually also met with Janelle Saffin. She's not a minister, but she's been around government for a long time. She used to be an MLC back in 1995. She was first elected as an MLC, spent 8 years as an MLC. Then she went across to the federal government, spent 6 years there. And now she's back as an MLA, and she's been 4 years as an MLA. A lot of experience there. She's a member for Lismore, and again, just talking to her about some of the flooding, some of the experience that Lismore's had, it was good to get her insight into a whole range of different things. Then yesterday, we're at Parliament House again. This is meeting with a group called Regional Cities New South Wales, a group of 15 councils. And we met, first of all, actually, Wendy Tuckerman. I caught up with Wendy Tuckerman before the meeting started. She's the Shadow Minister for Local Government and Shadow Minister for Small Business. Yes, she's in opposition, but it's still important to make sure you've got that communication going with both sides of government. And Wendy, I know Wendy reasonably well because when I first got elected back on council, this council had to deal with a performance improvement order that had been put on the council in the last term of council. And one of our most important jobs was to get the performance improvement order lifted. The next step after a performance improvement order, if you don't improve your performance, is to basically go into administration and be sacked. So it was important that I had that good relationship with Wendy when we were first elected. We got that lifted on the 18th of May last year, so we're all clean now and everything's going forward. So it was good to talk to Wendy about the direction there. And then we also met with regional cities. We met with John Graham, who's, again, got a number of portfolios, Special Minister of State, Minister for Roads, Minister for the Arts, Minister for Music and the Nighttime Economy, Minister for Jobs and Tourism. The main focus there of that meeting was more about tourism, regional tourism, a real focus on tourism being an experience rather than a destination, which fits in perfectly with Dubbo because we've got a number of experiences in Wellington, things like the Wellington Caves, what a great experience there. And regional jobs, that was another discussion there, an interesting discussion. And then, of course, Tara Moriarty. We met with Tara, Minister for Agriculture, Minister for Regional New South Wales, Minister for West New South Wales. And again, important there to continue that relationship with Tara. We've met with Tara before and discussed similar issues, but again, just to keep it bubbling away, keep the discussion happening, see what the latest update, because these ministers have only been there for about 4 months, so they're learning a lot of things on the go, and just to get an update about what's happening, very much to be current with what's going on. So another good day of discussions yesterday. Today we've got country mayors on. Country mayors, we've got a number of presentations that are occurring at country mayors, and that's a slightly different format. That is very much a theaterette style, sitting in the theatre and having presentations via various members of parliament, various ministers, discussing things that are relevant to country mayors. So another big day today, and then come home this afternoon. So a bit of time away from home. Again, it's one of those things, one of the parts of the job.
See, I noticed that one of the outcomes of the last ordinary council meeting, as we often say, there's nothing ordinary about them, the council determined, though, that it would not accept an invitation to join the coalition of regional energy mayors.
And we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity, I believe, with our renewable energy zone. Most people would be aware that we are in the Central West Orana Renewable Energy Zone. That mainly touches on Dubbo Regional Council, Warrumbungle Shire Council, Mid-Western Regional Council, so Coonabarabran, Mudgee and Dubbo. It does also touch a little bit on Gilgandra Shire Council, just on the very edge of Gilgandra. The three councils in particular, the three main councils impacted by the CWOREZ, meet regularly. We have regular discussions about the impacts. We're already well advanced. Of all the reses across the state, we are the most advanced res. We just got an upgrade in our res recently from 3 gigawatts to 6 gigawatts, so that's fantastic. Huge amount of money will flow into our economy during construction. Huge amount of money will flow into our economy with various funds, planning agreements, etc. that will occur after the construction phase. So this is an opportunity, I think, to really boost our economy, and in particular, it'll probably have more of an impact on the Wellington economy than Dubbo economy, and this is a great opportunity to really boost Wellington. There's a group called COREM, and that was a loose group that we started having some meetings last year. There's about 14 councils that have had some of those meetings. They're the councils across the state that are touched by reses, touched by renewable energy zones, and they've been quite productive discussions. We've been having those discussions, and then the group decided to formalise it more and get to the stage where there was a membership fee, $5,000 a year, and set up a website, appoint a chairperson that would be the spokesperson for the group. And when Dubbo was invited to join that, as we've been going through with those informal discussions previously, then it was brought to council last week to decide whether or not to join that. And councillors are very good at analysing exactly what we're a part of, analysing the money that we spend. And councillors looked at that $5,000, and really the question was, did we need to spend that money? Was that a good outcome for our community? Was this going to be a benefit to our community? And ultimately, councillors voted not to join that group. And I've had a discussion with the chairperson of that group and went through, I couldn't really say in detail why each individual councillor decided not to vote to join, or voted to not join that group. But I think one of the things that's important in that is that really it was that analysis from my perspective about how was this going to be a benefit for the residents of Dubbo, and we couldn't see good benefits out of that. And the group are probably dealing with councils that are somewhat behind where the Central West Orana Renewable Energy Zone is at. We'll still, and we've made this point, we'll still keep collaborating with any of those councils who want to collaborate with us. Certainly we'll keep talking and collaborating with Mudgee and Coonabarabran and Gilgandra, which we've been doing in the past. But we haven't seen the need to formalise that agreement. We can pick up the phone and ring each other. We can organise video conference meetings. And I suppose that was part of the problem, that was there really a need to formalise this process with COREM? Some of the councils believed that was a process that was required, and that's fine. But Dubbo obviously decided that that wasn't necessary for us to gain the most benefits for our residents and across the entire state.
Something that also came out of that was discussed there, Dubbo Regional Council's representation to the Taronga Conservation Society Australia Board.
Yeah, that's one that's been going for as long as I've been involved with council. We've had a representative on the board. Now, the council can nominate a representative. It actually has to nominate more than one. It has to nominate at least 2 representatives. And over the years, we've had councillors on that. So, for example, I remember that John Walkham, former councillor, used to be on that board. Alan Smith used to be on that board. And lately, for a whole range of reasons, it ended up being a staff member. So Murray Wood has been on that board over the last couple of years. So it came to council again, and council has to nominate, as I said, at least 2 people. And in the past, it's been individuals who might want to put their hand up. We were keen this time to see it about a position rather than about an individual. So we've put 5 individual positions up from councillors, so the chairs of the 3 committees, the 3 standing committees, and the mayor and the deputy mayor are the 5 positions put up, plus 2 particular staff positions. And then those 7 names will be put forward, the CVs will be put forward to the government, and then the government will choose out of those who will be the representative on the Taronga board. And again, the zoo is so important to us, our number 1 tourist attraction, and number 1 reason that people visit Dubbo. Very important to have a good representative pushing forward for the community on that.
Yeah, obviously, council needs a determination needs to be made because the current representative's board term ends on the 26th of September.
Correct. So it's not as if we're trying to get rid of someone there. The board position rolls over every 3 years, so that's up for renewal. And it may well be, as I said, our CEO is the current board member. That may well roll on to the next term of the 3 years there. So it may be the same person there. But again, we have to, according to the legislation for the Taronga board, we have to nominate at least 2 people and then the minister will choose.
Also, too, the draft Code of Conduct Policy and Procedures for the administration of the Code of Conduct, this is obviously something that's been refined over the last couple of years or so. The draft code has been adopted. Really,
administration change there. We would love to see some major reform, and one of the things we've been talking about while we've been in Sydney meeting with various ministers and Shadow for local government, one of the things that's incredibly important is to look at that overall Code of Conduct. There are some flaws with the Code of Conduct and certainly the way it's administered. So we don't have the power to change the major change that should occur. But again, that's one of the discussions we've had with government about changing that. And one of the things that's a real problem I see anyway, Ian, is that the CEO is put in a very tough position because any Code of Conduct is lodged initially with the CEO, and the CEO has to make a determination whether it's a frivolous complaint and needs to go no further, or whether that complaint needs to go further to be investigated. And if he makes that decision to go further, there's going to be a cost to council. If he deems it a frivolous complaint, then someone might say that he's protecting his councillors. So it's a tough position for the CEO to be in. It should go to an independent body initially, or even just go straight through to the Office of Local Government. These are the sort of things that we've been talking to government about.
Now, council also has resolved to execute the plan of subdivision Keswick Estate Stage 5 Release 2.
Yeah, we'd love to see these blocks of land out there quicker. We've got blocks of land available now. We're going to keep developing blocks of land in Keswick. The problem is that even from the blocks that were sold at auction last year, Ian, this is the end of last year, people would have an expectation that they'd almost have their homes built on those blocks by now. But when those auctions went through, the blocks were being sold off the plan. There was further construction works to occur. In other words, construction of the underground infrastructure ready for those blocks to be registered. Those blocks still aren't able to be registered yet. And I do apologise, Ian, for the people that actually bought blocks at that auction because it's been too long. It's taken too long to get to this stage. There's been a whole range of reasons for those construction delays by the contractor that we've engaged to do that work. But ultimately, it's not good from a council perspective. We want people to be able to build on those blocks of land. People want to be able to build houses. They want to be able to come to Dubbo and live in a house that they want to build in, and those blocks haven't been able to be registered. Having said that, we need to keep developing blocks of land in Keswick, and that's part of that process that you see there in the last council meeting, the further development of further blocks of land in Keswick.
Matthew, the council is also cleaning your reservoirs at the moment.
Yes, this is one of the things that's incredibly important. And actually, it's something that we've highlighted to some of the ministers we've been meeting with down here, because you've got new ministers, obviously, and there's, I think, 5 new ministers we've met with so far. And the real appreciation, I think, when people don't really understand regional councils, the Sydney councils, they're relying on, for example, Sydney Water. They produce their water. The range of things that a Sydney council has to control, be aware of and make sure they're on top of is very small compared to regional councils. And if you take regional councils, for example, we treat water, we treat sewerage. Sometimes we own airports or childcare centres or caravan parks or livestock markets. I know some councils further west of us manage things like hairdressing studios. They've got medical practices they run. So there's a whole range of different things that you're managing as a regional council. In Sydney, you don't have all those things. So making sure that people understand all these things. So managing water, huge responsibility for a council, and just the extra activities you've got to undertake. And cleaning reservoirs is one of those things. Lots of the maintenance that we do in our water treatment processes are done during winter because obviously the amount of water that people use during winter is much lower than summer. So we do have the opportunity to manage different reservoirs, manage how we undertake that water supply. And that's one of the things we're doing at the moment, exactly as you said, is cleaning those reservoirs, which is a bit of a process in terms of how we undertake that process, we manage that process. But it's really just to let people know what's happening with those reservoirs.
Yeah, well, they may notice, I have noticed they might see some water on the roads. There are in fact 32 reservoir locations in the Dubbo LGA, including sites in Dubbo, Yamunjeri, Mogragai, Ballymore, Wongarbin, Geary, Wellington and Mumble. So quite a number of locations to get through there. So, as you said, routine maintenance is something that that has to be done by a regional council there. It's all about flushing and cleaning and that sort of thing. Also, too, I noticed tomorrow week, on Saturday the 12th, the annual New South Wales EPA household chemical clean-out will occur at locations in Dubbo and Wellington.
Yeah, so people are familiar with the clean-out, obviously. They understand we do various clean-outs where people can actually put out some of their rubbish. This is a slightly different one. This is a chemical clean-out. So they'll be able to go to the work depot from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday the 12th of August. So that's up in Hawthorn Street. And in Wellington, you'll be able to go to the Wellington Waste Station out on Nanama Village Road, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. So this isn't one of those ones where you just put it out on the footpath and let someone else come along and pick it up. This is household chemicals, household waste that people need to dispose of correctly. It could be pool chemicals, for example, pesticides, hobby chemicals, a whole range of things there. So you can put those out there at those times on Saturday the 12th of August.
I'm glad you reiterated that we don't leave this on the curbside, because some of these things, garden chemicals, pool chemicals, household cleaners, hobby chemicals, poisons, batteries, paint, motor oils, fluids and fuels, fluorescent lights, gas bottles, fire extinguishers and smoke detectors, some of the things that can be disposed of as part of this program.
And people don't always realise the different chemicals they've got in various things. So, for example, smoke detectors is one of those things that should be disposed of in a different way, shouldn't just be thrown in the bin. So, yeah, a range of ones you've just run through there, so people can pull all those out. And again, that's one of the things that council does, because we've got a waste depot, because we've got that there. Again, this is another thing. You wouldn't see a Sydney council doing that probably, because you haven't got that waste disposal process that a council is responsible for.
And of course, this is for domestic household quantities only, accepted with 20 litre or 20 kilogram, the maximum container size. This is not for businesses or commercial quantities.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, we rely on the community to make sure they're not trying to sneak in a whole big quantity there as a commercial quantity.
Matthew Dickinson, it's coming up to 2 minutes to 8. As always, thank you very much for your time this morning on 2 to You.
My pleasure, Ian. Thank you.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.